to be seen as a luxury and not just an option. The first and most essential transformation begins within, embracing your authentic self. This isn't a motivational cliché. It is a profound psychological and spiritual act. At your core, there is a version of you that is untouched by expectation, unshaped by, but it's also the most hidden, buried under years of conditioning, fear, and adaptation. From childhood, we learn to wear masks. We notice which behaviors earn approval, which words get applause, and which actions bring love, or at least the illusion of it. Slowly, unknowingly, we build personas, social versions of ourselves, tailored to fit what others desire, but in doing so, we forget what we truly are. Being authentic is not about being loud or rebellious, it's about being whole. It is the refusal to fragment yourself just to fit into someone else's mold. It is saying, this is who I am, not who I pretend to be. When people sense that you are not performing, not pleasing, and not pandering, they stop viewing you as replaceable. Why? Because performance is common, yet authenticity is sacred. Most people are magnetic. You don't need to announce your authenticity. It speaks without words. It's in the calmness of your decisions, the clarity of your speech, the refusal to follow the crowd, and the grace with which you hold silence. When you are anchored in your true self, people instinctively recognize that you are not available for negotiation, you are not standing in the marketplace of approval, waiting to be picked. You are the one who chooses, not the one waiting to be chosen. But embracing your true self requires courage. It means confronting the fear that maybe if you are completely yourself, you won't be accepted. And yes, some will walk away. They were only attracted to your performance, not your truth. Let them go. What remains, what stays, is aligned with who you truly are. That is the beginning of true connection. That is the beginning of being treated as a luxury. It also means learning to sit with solitude. The world applauds those who blend in. Even if it is slowly first, you cultivate a deeper relationship with your soul. You begin to remember your worth. You begin to remember, when you operate from your authentic self, your energy shifts. You don't seek validation. You don't chase acceptance. You move differently. You speak with clarity. You become deliberate with your presence. First, when others begin to sing something rare in you, you begin by remembering who you are beneath the rows and layers. The way you see and govern your inner world determines how others respond to you. If your mind is cluttered, your energy will be restless. If your emotions are unchecked, your presence will feel chaotic. But when your internal state is calm, confident, and grounded, others will naturally treat you with more respect, even if they can't explain why. Mastering your inner world is not about pretending to be perfect. It is about cultivating emotional discipline, spiritual alignment, and mental clarity. This inner mastery becomes the silent force that sets you apart, making you feel like a luxury in a world that's constantly in turmoil. Most people are reactive. They get pulled by every emotion, influenced by every opinion, and distracted by every external circumstance. Their sense of self rises and falls with the noise of the outside world. But when you operate from a place of internal control, You no longer dance to that chaotic rhythm. Instead, you create your own tempo. You are no longer easily provoked. You respond instead of react. You observe without absorbing. That kind of inner discipline is rare, and rarity breeds value. There's a stillness in people who have mastered themselves. They don't rush to speak. They don't need to prove themselves. They don't scramble to be seen. Their confidence is quiet but undeniable. And that quietness speaks volumes. It tells others, I don't need your validation. That is how presence becomes power. Inner mastery also brings emotional intelligence. When you understand your own triggers, patterns, and wounds, you stop projecting them onto others. You stop seeking external situations to fix internal voids. You don't need people to complete you. You relate with them from a place of wholeness. And that changes everything. Because when someone sees that you are emotionally sorcering, and what is not desperate is not easily dismissed. Furthermore, when you are aligned internally, you stop being available for things that disturb your peace. You walk away without noise. You let go without resentment. You choose silence over chaos and solitude over shallow company. Another dimension of mastering your inner world is developing self-trust. When you trust your instincts, decisions and timing, you move differently. You stop second-guessing yourself to please others. You stop asking for permission to be who you are. That confidence radiates from within. It doesn't need an audience, and that kind of self-assuredness, a karma. This type of inner control doesn't come from ego, it comes from self-awareness. It's born out of hours spent alone, confronting your truth, healing your wounds, and choosing growth over comfort. It is a quiet revolution that begins in the heart and transforms the soul. The more you master your inner world, the less you chase, the more you attract. When people feel your peace, they want to be needed. There is a hidden force within each of us, a part of the psyche that most people avoid, deny, or repress. This is the shadow. It consists of the emotions, traits, and impulses we have been taught to hide. Anger, jealousy, insecurity, fear, shame, pride. But here's the truth. What we push away does not disappear. It simply houses in the unfocused. If you truly want to be seen as a luxury and not just an option, you must go beyond the surface level confidence and confront the deeper layers of yourself. Integrating your shadow is not a weakness. It is the path to true personal power. Most people live in fragments. They showcase only the parts of themselves that seem acceptable, polished, presentable, agreeable, but what remains hidden still speaks. It shows up in passive aggression, self-sabotage. On the other hand, those who face their inner darkness become whole. They are not afraid of being misunderstood. When you integrate your shadow, something shifts. You stop projecting your insecurities onto others. You no longer need to control everything around you to feel safe. You accept that you are both light and dark, kind and ruthless, soft and strong. And instead of hiding these contradictions, you own them. That ownership, magnetism, they are drawn to someone who has seen the depths of their soul and is no longer ashamed of it. This inner wholeness makes you powerful in a quiet way. You don't have to dominate a room to be noticed. You don't have to shout to be heard. There is a presence that comes from a person who is at peace with themselves. That kind of presence feels rare, and people treat it with more reverence. When you stop giving others permission to treat you like an option, integrating your shadow also frees you from needing constant validation. When you face the parts of yourself that others might reject, their opinions no longer hold the same weight. You don't need others to approve your worth. You already claimed it. That kind of self-certainty is unshakable. That's when people start to take you seriously, because nothing is more attractive than someone who doesn't need to be chosen to feel valuable. There is also wisdom in the shadow. Your anger may reveal where your boundaries were violated. Your envy may show you what you secretly desire but have denied. Your fear may point to the unlived life within you. When you explore these emotions instead of avoiding them, luxury is not just about elegance, it is about depth. You are a timeless standard. Boundaries are not walls that shut people out. They are sacred structures that protect what is valuable. And nothing of true value is ever easily accessible. To be seen as a luxury and not an option, you must understand the power of limits. The way you allow others to treat you is a direct reflection of the standards you set for yourself. But with boundaries, even the quietest presence commands attention and respect. People often think that saying yes to everything makes them more likable, more accepted, more wanted. But it doesn't. It makes them available. And availability, when excessive, often leads to being overlooked. The person who gives too much too quickly becomes familiar. And familiarity without earned debt breeds discretionality. That is offered to everyone all the time without discretion. It is reserved, intentional and scarce. That is precisely what gives it value. When you begin to enforce your boundaries, you stop being the person who is always on call, always accessible, always bending to fit into someone else's expectations. You begin to choose peace over people-pleasing. You learn to say no without guilt, to walk away without drama, and to prioritize your time, energy, and emotional space. And when you do this consistently, others start to see that your presence is not to be taken lightly. Boundaries are not about control, they are about clarity. They tell others where you begin and where they end. They define what is acceptable in your space and what is not. And this clarity does something powerful. It teaches people how to treat you. If you allow disrespect, people will grow comfortable offering it. If you allow constant interruption, your peace will never be protected. But if you establish limits and stand by them, you radiate a kind of self-respect that others feel. Enforcing boundaries also reveals who truly values you. The people who are only interested in what you can do for them will disappear. The moment you stop giving endlessly, let them. Their exit makes space for those who recognize your worth beyond what you offer. Boundaries become a filter, a way to separate the genuine from the opportunistic. And when they are surrounded by people who respect your boundaries, you no longer have to fight to be seen. They are already seen as someone of value. Another important truth is that boundaries protect your energy. Every time you say yes to things that drain you, you say no to your own well-being. And over time, this self-neglect adds up. You become exhausted, resentful, and empty. But when you protect your peace, like the sacred treasure it is, luxury doesn't apologize for being selective. It doesn't explain why it's not available to everyone. It simply exists in its fullness, knowing that its worth is not determined by how often it is accessed, but by how intentionally it is preserved. In the same way, your boundaries are a declaration that your time, your emotions, your presence, these are not casual offerings, they are meaningful, they are reserved for those who truly see your value. When you live with strong boundaries, you stop being an option, you become a choice. A deliberate, thoughtful, and respected one. Not everyone will like it, but the ones who matter will march to meet the standard. And in doing so, they'll see what you've known all along. You are not just a moment of interest. There is an unmistakable aura in those who live with purpose. They do not wander aimlessly through life, hoping to be chosen or noticed. Instead, they walk with direction, fueled by clarity, guided by vision. They do not need to announce their goals to be taken seriously. Their actions do the speaking. And in a world that often chases distraction and validation, it makes them feel rare, intentional, and magnetic. To be seen as a luxury and not as an option, you must embody purpose in everything you do. You must carry yourself like someone who knows where they're going, even if the path isn't fully visible yet. People are naturally drawn to leaders, not necessarily those with titles or positions, but those who lead with their energy. When someone walks into a room with clarity in their eyes and certainty in their steps, people pay attention, not because they demanded it, but because they carried it. That kind of presence doesn't come from external status. It comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and what you refuse to settle for. When you live with purpose, your time becomes sacred. You stop entertaining what doesn't align. You no longer chase people, opportunities, or validation that lead you away from your true direction. This discipline is rare, and it's what separates those who are treated as options from those who are seen as intentional, valuable, and unforgettable. Your ability to say, "This is not for me," is just as powerful as saying, "This is my path." Purpose also sharpens your communication. You speak with weight, not just noise. Your words carry intention, and others feel it. Living with vision also means that you are not easily swayed. The crowd may go left, but you may go right. And you do so without apology. You're not here to mimic trends or copy personalities. You're here to live the truth of your calling, even if it looks different. That kind of conviction doesn't just make people. This sense of purpose doesn't mean perfection. You will have days of doubt, setbacks, and redirections. But even in those moments, you keep walking. You trust that each step, no matter how uncertain, is shaping something bigger. There is also a deep peace in living with purpose. You stop comparing your journey to others. You stop measuring your worth by external reactions. You wake up with intention, move with clarity, and rest with alignment. This internal peace becomes your luxury. And when you embody luxury on the inside, the outside starts to reflect it. Ultimately, when you speak with vision and live with purpose, you signal to the world that you are not waiting to be picked. You have already picked yourself. You are not trying to fit into anyone's life. You are building your own. And that energy is not just attractive, it's unforgettable. Because when you live on purpose, you are no longer seen as just another option. You are seen as direction, as clarity. True luxury is not defined by possessions or appearances, but by the way you cultivate your inner energy and carry it into the world. It is the art of presence, the ability to show up fully, authentically, and deliberately. Presence is the silent language that speaks louder than words. It is how you occupy space, how you listen, how you respond, and many people are physically present but mentally absent. They are distracted, anxious, or preoccupied. Their attention is fragmented and their energy scattered. They sense your focus and your respect. This deep attention makes you memorable and valuable. Presence requires self-awareness and intentionality. It means being conscious of your body language, your tone, and your energy. It means listening, not just to reply, but to understand. It means pausing before you speak, choosing your words with care, and recognizing the power of silence. When you develop this kind of mindful engagement, you stand apart from the noise and haste of modern life. Being present also means being emotionally available, but not overwhelmed. You don't hide behind detachment or fake smiles, but you don't wear your heart on your sleeve either. You cultivate a balanced emotional state that invites trust and openness without dependency. This emotional intelligence becomes magnetic because it creates a safe space for others to be themselves without fear of judgment. Presence also involves honoring your own needs and rhythms. When you constantly override your energy or feelings to please others, your presence weakens. But when you respect your limits and recharge regularly, you show up refreshed, grounded and vibrant. This kind of self-care radiates as an invisible strength. It communicates that you value yourself enough to protect your energy and that makes others value you more. Another subtle aspect of presence is humility paired with confidence. True presence does not demand attention or seek validation. It simply holds space with grace and authenticity. It invites others to step closer, not through force, but through gentle invitation. This paradoxical blend of strength and softness is when you cultivate presence, you become a living example of what it means to be whole and available in a world that often feels disconnected. People do not just see you, they feel you. Your energy lingers in a room long after you've left. Ultimately, presence is the foundation upon which all other keys rest. Without it, authenticity, boundaries, purpose, inner mastery, and shadow work lose their impact.